Dr. Angela Duckworth. Doc, do you want to just talk a little bit about maybe some of the things you took from her, some highlights?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of it comes back to grit, and I like her story. And she started the presentation of her dad talking about greatness of any individual that, whether it's a scientist or like a triathlon star, more or less doing great things
Yeah.
and recognizing that,
Yep.
and then talking about that consistently. And then Dr. Angela Duckworth, she honestly took that from there and then asked the question, okay, how do these individuals become great at what they do? And I think that's where the book Grit stems from.
Yeah.
I started reading a little bit last night, and there's a lot of awesome stuff. So look up the book Grit. I think it's like a national best-selling book.
I think it is too.
She is incredible in terms of how she talks on certain points, whether it's motivation, whether it's growth mindset. And there's a couple of different things I learned, especially in terms of learning curves and intentional learning. I know we touched on that already, but yeah, or passion plus persistence equals grit, because you have to have that drive to go through tough times in order to come out with the results. So that's a fun little equation there.
But if you have passion, but you don't have discipline, you won't get to the end either.
100%.
So I love that she broke that down. And we'll call it, what's the word I'm thinking of actually? Not endless, but mindless passion, where you have this passion, but there's no direction. You're going to wander. You're not going to get to where you want. But, and then you might give up. And then you might be passionate the next day, but then you might give up. It's like you have to persevere. You have to maintain the discipline.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're not going to get to where you want. And that's great too.
I love that.
Helps to really break down what you need to do to get what you want. I loved, and I know we just got done talking about this, but truly the most that I took away from her speech was the intentional effort of practice.
Yep.
And how true intention with practice is where you will become an expert. But if you half-ass that, you can lose so much time becoming that expert in what you're trying to achieve. She said to the likes of, you have a person over here who, we've all heard of, she called it the 10,000 hour rule, where you practice something for 10,000 hours, you're amazing at it. And she said, I disagree. She goes, intentionally practicing hard for 10,000 hours, yes, you will be an expert.
Yes.
But if you don't, that 10,000 hours now will be 30,000 hours. It'll take you that long to get where you should have been intentionally. That 20,000 hours scared the shit out of me.
Yep.
That changed everything I thought about with my intention of when I'm doing things, for sure. So the last one that she talked about was not quitting on a bad day. And I think we've all had our tough days. Maybe we've started something, we've been grinding for months, let's say even years. And let's say you hit that day where it's one of the worst days you've had. And it's coming to you and you're like, you know what, I am done with this. I don't think I can move on. I put what I can into this, but I think it's got me. I'm going to try something else. And she shared a story. I think it was her husband or her father. I think it was her husband.
Yes.
And she got to this point in time where she felt like she couldn't move on. And she goes, you know what, honey, I think I'm going to quit. And her husband looked at her and goes, you know what? I totally understand. You seem burnt out. You got nothing left in you. I get it. I can see it on you. Like, I want nothing but to support you. But he goes, I just would hate for you to quit on a bad day. And
Boom.
She took that in herself to say, you know what? Let's see what tomorrow brings. Let's see if I can't bring myself up into a little bit better mood. Give that, then think about it during when I'm in a different mood. Do I still think I got some left in me to continue? Most of the time, you do got what's left in you. Just don't let that bad day take what you've been building. But yeah, Doc, anything there, Corey?
Yeah, just don't let temporary emotions control your long-term outcomes, because you could be stuck in the moment and impulsively do something, not do something, and it could have long-term detriments. You don't want to quit on a bad day when you're in a bad mindset. Take the night, wake up hopefully in a better mood, get some sunlight, take a cold plunge, hit a little reset, and then move forward. So I actually took that down in my notebook as well during the event. I thought that was great. Don't quit on a bad day. Keep going. If you have multiple bad days in a row or multiple months of bad days in a row, then maybe consider. But if you have one temporary bout of a bad day or bad mindset, something happens to throw you off your course, get right back on the course, keep going.
And I think that specific point changes how I talk to patients specifically that are going through, whether it's tough times personally or they're feeling sore achiness throughout just due to the actual newer physical activity. And whenever they are feeling low or they feel like they might not be progressing how they like, going back to this point, you're not going to quit on a bad day. Keep with the program, keep with what you're doing. We might have to look at it from a different perspective to change a few small things up.
Yep.
As long as you're moving towards the outcome that you want or moving towards a purpose, I think you're going to win at the end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a really good point.
As long as the trajectory is continuing up, you may hit some lows, but
Don't be quitting. Don't be quitting. At least not on a bad day.
yes.
All righty.